Okay, guys, we're all here. Brilliant. You're all packed up ready for this first leg of the Champions League playoff in Wankdorf. The chairman has just brought to my attention, though, that you guys had a really large pay-per-view bill the last time we were in Wankdorf. So, looks like you guys went to town on that and potentially yourselves. If we can just keep that in check this time and use that spunk on the field, that would be great. Okay? Bus here. Great timing. Let's go, guys. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 62 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up in today's episode we have the Champions League playoff taking on young boys in 2 legs to try and make this competition for the second season in a row. We should also at some stage today have our youth intake and of course the group draw for either the Champions League or the Europa League, depending on how this playoff does go. So if you are looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated, but there has been very little happen since the end of yesterday's episode against Olympiacos. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it above my head in the top right corner. We have had no games since that second leg against Olympiacos. So coming into this with a very similar squad at our disposal. You can see on screen there the other Champions Path playoffs for the Champions League, and there are the playoffs from the League Path. But we'll have another quick look at young boys before we do get into the first leg of this playoff. Still find themselves just struggling a little bit early on in their league season, domestically 6th in the Swiss League, but they do have a decent team playing a 4-4-2 with David Wagner at Wankdorf, and they've just struggled a little bit early doors, albeit they have only played 3 games and might have been saving their best team up for these Champions League games. They are a team which we do have a little bit of history with, taking them on in the Europa League group stage 2 seasons ago, 2-0 all draws, so it's quite an even matchup based on the past meetings that we have had between these 2 teams. We should have improved a little bit since then, though, and hopefully we can show that across the 2 legs. In today's episode, a little bit of transfer news as well, just before we do get into the first leg of this game. We did have a bid come in from Sampdoria for Hans Nicolucci Caviglia, our club captain and one of the best players at the club. He was quite keen on leaving when this bid did initially come in. Luckily, we were able to talk him round into staying because of the good dynamics here at the club. But very interesting to see that our first team players are now being sought, especially from teams in Serie A. So we're doing a decent job at upping the profile of the players in our team. But thankfully, Hans Nicolucci Caviglia is quite happy to stay here at Völsungur in favour of Sampdoria in Serie A. But we have our first choice 11 available for this game, and we'll come back shortly from Wankdorf and see what we can do in the away leg. And we do have TV coverage for the first leg of this tie. There is the young boys team, a few names familiar from the last time that we did play them, in Same up front in particular. And here is our team. Nygaard is back. That means that Anason does push down to the bench in place of Sikolarek as that wing come Mazzala cover, but back at full strength, and hopefully we can take a decent result into the home leg. 20 minutes gone. The first highlight is in young boys' favour, a corner which we do deal with so far. They have been on top of us, pretty quiet for the opening 15 minutes or so, but just getting a bit of momentum prior to this highlights. 3 shots to 0 so far. Hopefully we can stop this attack here from them as they look to stretch things here down the right-hand side. It's a good volley there from Insame, but luckily Serafellini in a good position, and we keep it at 0 all about halfway through the first half. 42 minutes gone now. We are on the attack here through Patrick Nygaard, back in the team after recovering from injury just before the second leg of the Olympiacos tie. Interesting ball back there for Carlo, but he is on possession again just inside the box. Carlo whips one in for Rubio. Great chance. Just puts it wide, starting to get a little bit of momentum back on our side in this game, but potentially looks like we will be heading into halftime locked up at 0 all, and that's not terrible considering the way that we have been playing so far in this game. Just the 2 highlights that you did see, so they haven't been too threatening despite having the better run of play in this game so far have young boys. We'll tell the boys to hopefully lift their game a little bit in the second half, and hopefully there's a bit more action going on as we are locked up at 0-0 halfway through the away league here in this Champions League playoff. 47 minutes gone, early free kick here in the second half to young boys, and it's unfortunately a push in the back there. I think that was from Galtason. Pethok goes over, and this looks like a pretty clear-cut penalty, which Michael Oliver does give, and in fact it was Leandro Diaz with the push there, so that's a little bit disappointing from our first choice left back in Same from the spot to try and put young boys 1-0 up, and he will do it. That could be a very costly mistake there from Leandro Diaz. Now a little bit happier to stay at the club, but those are not the actions of a player who's happy to be here. That's a bit disappointing. And early on in the second half of the away leg, we do go 1-0 down thanks to a penalty. Okay, 60 minutes gone here. I think it's time for us to make some substitutions, looking to get ourselves back into this away leg. Both Rubio and Nygaard are struggling out there, so Pedro and Arneson to come on for those guys respectively. Still 1-0 down with a half hour remaining. And shortly off the back of those substitutions, we do have a corner. Galtason trying to pick out someone there at the near post, headed clear, and Paulstein Arneson looks to tidy things up. That's a really poor ball from him there though, and Elia was able to get on the end of it, and young boys are on the counter attack. Hopefully not going to regret that substitution that we did make, but Arneson has been pretty good while Nygaard has been out of the team, but a poor bit of play for him there to give young boys possession. Oh, it's a missed header there from one of our defenders, and Serengeti makes it 2-0 young boys on the hour mark, and we have just fallen apart a little bit to start this second half. That pass from Arneson, which gave up possession, proving oh so crucial, as was this missed header there in the box. I think that's Mbiyamba. It looks like Mbiyamba. It is Mbiyamba. And we go 2-0 down with just under a half hour to play. And we will make our last substitution off the back of that as well. Kadena also struggling in the front three, so Bjarkason can come on for him. Now in a little bit of a spot of bother here, 2-0 down with just under a half hour remaining of the away leg. 66 minutes gone, and now it's a corner in our favour. Galtason near post, and Gabriel Corbo gets his head on the end of that, and that's exactly what we needed. We've just upped the tempo a little bit to try and get ourselves back into this game, and it has worked. Near post corner, really good one that from Corbo. Thinks the goalkeeper gets a hand on it, but can't quite keep it out of the net, and we are now just one goal down with 20 minutes left of the first leg. And shortly off the back of that goal, it is a throw-in here to young boys. You will notice Nicolusi Caviglia's picked up a yellow card that does have implications for the second leg. He will be suspended, so that's a bit of a blow that's happened in between that goal and this highlight, as young boys now do look to play out from the back here. If they get another goal here, we will be back in a bit of trouble going back into that home leg, and they are keeping possession quite nicely here. And Same, it's a poor ball from him though, and Ian Carlo tidies things up for us, and hopefully we can do something ourselves here on the counter-attack. Deep ball there from Sarah Fellini, and in the end Arneson does tie it out nicely. Ball over the top for Pedro. What can he do here on the right-hand edge of the box, just inside the byline? Plays that back for Nicolusi Caviglia, expecting a good last 20 minutes from him. It's a nice ball there for Arneson, and we might have our equaliser with 18 minutes left here in the away leg. That could be a couple of big goals in short succession. We'll just wait for the VAR check, and the goal is disallowed. We'll have to wait and see about that one. That looked like it might be a little bit tight. In fact, it's not. He is an absolute mile offside. So fair play of the referees there. It remains 2-1 with 15 minutes left. 85 minutes gone. We have a throw-in here. Hopefully we can grab an equaliser this time around. It's headed clear, but luckily Nicolusi Caviglia can shuffle that back out for Diaz. Arneson far post. His header comes off the upright, starting to create some chances, but we might be going into the home league with a 1-goal deficit unless something happens here inside the last few minutes of this away leg. We've got 4 minutes of added time, and we do have a free kick here just outside the box. Hopefully something comes from this. Gabriel Corbo trying to curve it top left. It comes off the wall or the post, I think that was. Not quite able to tell. Nicolusi Caviglia tries to put that back into the mix, so they do deal with it there. Do young boys, and are on the counter attack. They pass that back a long way, and it's a terrible pass. Yao Pedro nearly gets possession back for us. Hopefully, though, we can try and get one more chance from this game, and this might be the chance. They give that ball straight to Mbiyamba. Diaz up to Swiderski. Nice ball here for Arneson. Tight angle. Squares it nicely for João Pedro. What a goal that is. It's an absolute slug of a goal. It was going slow into the bottom left corner, but we get our equaliser. 2 goals inside the last half hour, and we should be going into the home league locked up at 2-2. That could be a massive goal in this Champions League playoff. Arneson with an assist off the bench. It was a very weak strike that from João Pedro, but he had the placement, and we should be going into the home league locked up at 2-2. And considering that we weren't really at our best in that game, we will take that, getting a few goals late to get that game back to 2-2 after conceding a few goals earlier in the second half, one from the penalty spot, which is a little bit disappointing. You take that penalty out of that game, and it was actually a bit more even there than it looks from the stats, but certainly weren't our best there. But we go into the home league at 2-2, and that is not a bad result considering the position that we were in with just under a half hour to go. So we will get through this post-match interview, tell the boys we are stoked with that, and there you can see the other results from the Champions path and, of course, the league path of these Champions League playoffs so far. Maccabi Tel Aviv, Sparta Prague leading Midtjylland, which is a little bit interesting. Of course, we did deal with Sparta Prague quite comprehensively in the Champions League playoffs last season. Feyenoord also have an advantage going into the second league, while Ostende and Austria Wien are tied up, much like ourselves and Young Boys are. But in the end, that's not a bad result to take back into the home league. But I think we're about due to have this year's youth intake. And we are back very shortly off the back of the end of that first leg, the 2-2 draw, which, as I said, not too bad a result, but something which is not that great is this year's youth intake, which is a little bit disappointing considering a few episodes ago it was rated as an excellent youth intake. I think that just glitches out after you first get the item through the inbox. Unfortunately, not a great youth intake. Hopefully next season it's a bit better once we have a full season of our improved youth facilities and junior coaching and recruitment in place here at the club. But we'll have a quick look through these good talents because there's a few who we might sign just in case they do become useful for us in the future. First off, we've got Elikot Emilson. He is a goalkeeper, 1-star current ability, 3-star potential. We make our way down a bit further. Here we have Ruffin Gislason, a right midfielder with 2.5-star potential, but 1.5-star current ability. Keep making our way down. Ingi Por Asgierson, another promising striker at the club, half-star ability, 3-star potential. We have Ingemir Ali Ingvason, a midfielder, 1-star current ability, 3-star potential. Continue to make our way down. Arundari Bjornsson, a defensive midfielder, which is a position where we could use a little bit of extra depth in terms of homegrown talent, but a 2.5-star potential might be a player who we don't look at signing. Ingi Por Atlason, 2.5-star potential defender, who is 1.98 meters tall, so he could be of use just with that height, but 1-star current ability for him. The next one up is Porvaldasvine Hafpason. He is a left back with 2.5-star potential, 1-star current ability. He will have to impress us in this trial that we do have coming up in between these two legs in today's episode. Anna Paul Bjarkason is next up, another left back with 2.5-star potential, 0.5 star of current ability. And to round off the decent looking talents from this year's youth intake, Haldor Arnie Bergerson, 0.5-star ability, 2.5-star potential, a left winger. So not a great youth intake, it is fair to say. Not too sure how many of these players we will sign, but it's a little bit of a letdown, but hopefully these improve over the next little while. And in fact, I think I missed out there. Clifton Fryer Branson, he has 2.5-star potential, another striker coming through our youth intake. But yeah, it's not a very good one, it is fair to say. Hopefully we can improve on that over the next few years. And we are back before the Keflavik game, let alone the second leg of the Champions League playoff against Young Boys. And unfortunately, the transfer, which we did try and get through in yesterday's episode, Chadwick, he has opted for Bayern Munich over us. He will join the Bayern under-19 squad for £2.1 million. This was the very promising Brazilian that we did have on trial here at the start of the season. Unfortunately, he has chosen Bayern over us, which is fairly understandable. And also coming in late with an offer were Juventus, as we did suspect at some time during yesterday's episode, a massive wage he is on for the under-19s there at Bayern Munich compared to what we were able to offer him here at Völsungur. So that's a little bit disappointing. Unfortunately, Chadwick is going to be one of those players who slipped through our fingers, considering that we could have got him instead of Hammarby to start off this season, and they make a £2.1 million profit off him going to the Bayern under-19s. And before we get into the second leg of the Young Boys Champions League playoff, we did have a game in the league in between those two legs. It was away at Keflavik, and João Pedro with a great first half performance there, 14 minutes gone, and he did open the scoring there. And a very similar goal which saw us go 2-0 up. This time it was Nicolucci Caviglia, of course, with him being suspended for this upcoming second leg. He got a start here and got a bit of a lucky assist there from the Bjarkason ball, flicking on to Pedro to make it 2-0, and then a wonderful strike from outside the box to make it 3-0 about 11 minutes before half-time. So pretty well under control this game before the half-time break. And then in the second half, Pedro trying to make it 4. Ledson runs onto that rebound, takes it away, and we do pick up a 4-0 win to keep our decent run of form in the league going. So what that means for the league table at the end of the domestic part of today's episode is that we are still in front, 2 points clear of Vala Reykjavik, which doesn't look like that much, but we do have 4 games in hand on those guys, with Leiknir Reykjavik a further 3 points behind with another game in hand, and HK not far behind them with a extra game in hand as well. So we're still in a pretty good position despite that small points differential there on the league table. But no more first team injuries coming out of that league game. The only change that we have been forced into is that Gavioli will come in for the suspended Nicolucci Caviglia, and we'll see if we can get the job done here in the home league and make our way into the Champions League for back-to-back seasons. And 6 minutes gone here at the Laugardas Vola. First highlight is a corner to Young Boys far post, but Sviderski does clear that, albeit Young Boys are still in possession. Hopefully we can hold out here in the home league. Far post enforces a save there as Sarah Fellaini looked a little bit harmless there at his near post, but he keeps it out and keeps it locked up 10 minutes into the home league. 15 minutes gone now. We do have a free kick. Korva at the far post and puts it in the back of the net. Unfortunately, was just trying to encourage the boys there, and the free kick did take place quite quickly. VAR is going to intervene, and yet again, the goal does get disallowed. VAR not on our side today, albeit that's another pretty comprehensively clear one. No complaints with that. Does remain locked up here at the 17-minute mark.
Yeah.
23 minutes gone, and we are being forced into a fairly early substitution here. Leandro Diaz has picked up a serious injury. Luckily, we did sign Eugenio Roselli not too long ago. He is a more than able backup in that left back position, so that's a bit of a concern. Just losing a little bit there at left back. One sub down, 25 minutes through the second leg, and we now do have a highlight here from a throw, and unfortunately Candina gives that straight to Young Boys, and they are on the attack here inside our half, although that's well dealt with there by Roselli, and we now look to play out from the back. Corbo will find Nygaard. Can we get something going? It's a really poor back pass that from Rubio, and Elia does actually get there. I thought Roselli might be able to tidy that up, and it is Fastnacht on the volley. That's a very disappointing goal to concede a few times there. We should have been tidying that up. Rubio with the back pass, and then Roselli here, I thought could have got to that ball before Elia just gets muscled out of the way, not quite running the right line, and it's a really good header that from Fastnacht into the top right corner, and we go 1-0 down halfway through the home league, the second leg of this Champions League playoff. 40 minutes gone as we demand more from the boys so far. Pretty sloppy yet again in the opening stages of this game. We have already upped the tempo from lower to higher, but so far Young Boys on top of us, much like they were in the first league, albeit we are on the counter-attack here. Patrick Nygaard holds the ball up. Galtason will roll that into the bottom right corner, and that's exactly what we needed right before half-time. The Icelandic defensive midfielder, he came up with a cracking goal in the home league of last year's Champions League playoff against Sparta Prague, a goal which did win us goal of the season last season. This time from right on the edge of the box, it's a worm burner off a Nygaard assist, and it gets us back in this 3-3, 5 minutes shy of half-time, albeit Young Boys do have a kick-off highlight, so this could be interesting. Ian Carlo does deal with that, but they do get possession back here to the Swiss side in the yellow and black, although it's a poor clearance there from their goalkeeper, and Gavioli gets us possession back here, and hopefully we get one more chance and can take our lead back here before half-time as we switch that out to Gabriel Corbo and try and get something going here down the left-hand side. Short passing, nice ball there for Gavioli, and it forces a good save there out of Bormus. I think that is in goal for Young Boys. We'll see if anything comes from the resulting corner, but starting to find our gear right before half-time. The corner is dealt with safely, and it looks like we'll be going into the sheds locked up at 1-1, 3-3 on aggregate, halfway through the second leg, our home leg of this Champions League playoff. We kicked into gear late in that half, but still not that impressed with how he played in that first 45 minutes. I think we're going to make another change here at half-time, which will mean we have used 2 subs here at the 45-minute mark of this second leg. But Benjamin Rubio is struggling out there, a 6.3 rating. Of course, that back pass was quite important in the goal that they did score. João Pedro coming off a hat-trick. We will bring him on here for the second half, and hopefully we can pull ahead and make our way into the Champions League for the second straight season in these last 45 minutes. 56 minutes gone here. First highlight of the second half of the second leg. It's a clearance there from the Young Boys goalkeeper, and they do get possession back from it here through Lefort down the left-hand side, and Fastnacht, who did get their goal, just holds things up. Nice ball there for Pefok, forces a very good save there out of Sarah Fellini. He was offside though, does remain locked up with a half hour left in the second leg. Okay, just under 20 minutes left. Just that one highlight so far in the second half, which was an offside, but Cadena is struggling out there on a 6.3 rating. We have Gavioli on a red heart, but I think we'll benefit here from taking Cadena off Bjarkason to come on for him. That's our last sub. 20 minutes left, and we are still locked up here in the second leg. And shortly off the back of that substitution, it is a corner here for Young Boys looking for the near post. We do deal with it through Mbayamba, and Bjarkason tries to play a long ball forward there for João Pedro, but far too much on it. And Volbormos there in goal for Young Boys will tidy things up, and he pumps it deep, and they will get possession back from that header there. Will Young Boys has looked to break our hearts here in this home league and send us down into the Europa League, and they are on the attack here. That's a nice ball over for Elia, but yet again a little bit too much depth on that one. So far we're just being patient here and seeing what this highlight is all about with 17 minutes left of the second leg. If the away goal rule was still in place, we'd actually be in a decent space, and there's João Pedro with a shot just over the bar, and we remain locked up with 15 minutes left. 79 minutes gone. It's a throw in here for Young Boys inside the final third, and they try and get something going here. It is Money who just puts the ball inside the box. They're just holding the ball up quite nicely here. Good header away there though from Swiderski, and hopefully João Pedro can get something going here for us on the counter-attack. Makes his way down the left wing side. Of course, he can also play as a winger, so not the worst idea from him there. We look to centralise this yet again. That's a poor ball there from Nygaard, but Roselli will tidy things up. Corbo on a yellow card, which is a little bit dangerous late in this game. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us, but of course we have no more subs left. Nice ball out there for Ian Carlo. Nygaard far post for Bjarkason, puts one across for Pedro, and it's a good block there by one of the Young Boys defenders, and that will do that highlight. Only 9 minutes left, still locked up at 3-3 on aggregate. 3 minutes left plus injury time here in the second leg. I presume that is before we do enter extra time, with the away goals rule now being non-important. There's a nice ball there from Young Boys, and he puts it wide. We get out of jail massively there. Only 3 minutes left now plus injury time, but it's a fairly evenly based game. We possibly have slightly had the edge of things based on our XG, but in the end, it looks like it is going to be another draw here with Young Boys, and that does mean that we will have extra time about to kick off. It's a game which has been pretty even so far. We will just check if we can make a sub here, and I think the sub that we would like to make, if we can, would be getting rid of Gabriel Corbo on a yellow card. Indeed, we can make that sub. So Kurt Shaw is going to be our substitution here for extra time, but we have an extra half hour to play here. Still locked up at 3-3, trying to earn our way into the group stages of the Champions League. And inside the last few minutes of extra time, we have had absolutely no highlights. The only notable things that have happened are a yellow card to each team, but we are going to penalties to try and make our way into the Champions League group stage. Darn UEFA getting rid of that away goals rule, because that would have seen us through from the first league, but it's not to be, so we'll get this penalty order sorted out and come back shortly for the shootout. And we have sorted our penalty shootout order now. There you can see it on screen, matching up for the most part with what you see on the right hand side there. Just a few little changes here and there considering composure, the penalty taking ability, and where I can, the finishing ability of these players. Hopefully we can get this job done and make our way through to the Champions League for the second straight season, the group stages that is. We'll tell the boys to just stay calm and back themselves here, and hopefully we'll be fine. But we have not really been at our best across these two leagues, which is a little bit disappointing. Maybe just missing Arneson a little bit more than we realised here, but we will see what happens. First up for us, it is Yao Pedro. We are going to be the team taking the penalties first. I think he might catch the goalkeeper a little bit off his guard there, because I'm not too sure if he was back on his line, but either way, sends him the wrong way, and we do score our first penalty there, and now it's Nsame for Young Boys. Can Fellini come up big? He chooses a side, and Nsame more or less goes straight down the middle, and it is 1-1 after both teams have taken a penalty. Next up for us is Gavioli. Goalkeeper goes the right way, and he buries it, so we are 2-1 up, albeit Young Boys can get that back to all square here through Pefok. Can Fellini come up big for us? Sends him the wrong way into the bottom left corner, and it is 2-2 after two penalties each. And next up for us, it is our right back, Ian Carlo, on a yellow card. Not that that matters now. Nice long run up, and he tucks that away. The goalkeeper yet again guessing in the right direction, but just nice placement there from our right back to make it 3-2. And now it is Alaya here for Young Boys. Fellini goes the right way, but just can't quite lay a hand on it. And it is 3-3. Next up for us, Patrick Nygaard, only recently back from injury. We've got a far camera angle, and he hits it at the goalkeeper, trying to pick out the left corner, and he guesses the right way, and that could be a decisive moment in this penalty shootout. Next up, Leda. Can Fellini make his first save? He is way too late on that one, and it is 4-3 Young Boys. And we now need to score here. We're just waiting to see who is up for us. It is Bjarkason, the local left winger. Can he keep us in this penalty shootout and put the pressure somewhat on Young Boys for their last penalty? We'll see what he can do here from the front angle. Bjarkason, he goes the same way as the goalkeeper, but slots it away. A bit too much power that time. And it is now down to the very last penalty before we get into additional takers. It is Lafort here for Young Boys. Fellini for Völsungur. Can the Italian goalkeeper keep us in the hunt for the Champions League group stage? Lafort takes it. The goalkeeper goes the right way, but can't get there. And we are going to be in the Europa League this season. Not too disappointed with that, but just a little bit frustrating to go out on penalties. And in the end, we just don't quite have the efficiency in front of goal over those leagues. In the end, we can't really complain too much, because we weren't that great over both leagues. Truth be told, it took a few goals late in that first league to get us back into this tie, and a 1-1 draw at home means that after penalties, we are making our way down into the Europa League this season. We'll come back shortly with the draw for the group stage of that Europa League, but before we get there, we'll just wait and see which other teams did get through these Champions League playoffs. And having a look on the left-hand side, Sparta Prague did keep their advantage there over Midtjylland. So the team that we knocked out in the Champions League playoff last season makes their way into the Champions League this time around. Shakhtar Donetsk with a good come-from-behind victory over Maccabi Tel Aviv. Ostende go through on penalties over Austria VN. And Feyenoord, thanks to their first league win, do go through over Brøndby into the Champions League. So those are the playoff results. We do go out on penalties, and we'll come back shortly for the group stage draw of the Europa League. And we are back for the group stage draw for the Europa League. A little bit disappointing to be down here after making the Champions League last season, but it might be a competition where we can get a little bit more coefficient than we did last season when we were in the Champions League, and that could be quite important this season as we are trying to get rid of a 2.75. Hopefully, we can do what we've done the last few seasons and just keep improving that coefficient quite nicely, and that might be a bit more suited in the Europa League than it would have been in the Champions League. And the first thing to take note of is we are seeded in the third pot. So that is an upgrade from any of our past European campaigns. Obviously, starting to make a bit of a mark here in Europe. We are at Völsungur, so we will get through to the group stage proper and have a look at who is in each pot. The top pot, we've got Liverpool, Atalanta, Bayer Leverkusen, Tottenham, Atletico Madrid, Lille, Benfica, and Monaco. We make our way down to the second pot, Wolfsburg, Lazio, Braga, Dynamo Kiev, Besiktas, Rangers, Maccabi, Tel Aviv, and Ludogorets. There's the third pot, and we are not just in the third pot, we are the top seed of the third pot, about 5 points behind Ludogorets. So that's a nice position for us to be in here in the Europa League, and that fourth pot are full of teams which hopefully for the most part we can deal with, albeit there's a few teams there dropping out of Champions League qualifying. So we'll just make our way through the first two seeds in this draw and come back shortly and see which group which we would like and which ones we wouldn't. And we are back after the second pot has been completed, and there is one group here I definitely do not want, and that is Group A, Atletico Madrid and Lazio. That's looking like an exceedingly strong group compared to what else is available there in the Europa League so far. Those other groups, I think those second seeds, we are quite capable of giving them a game. So not too worried about which group we get here, as long as it's not Group A. So let's hope when we click this Draw Next Team button, it is not us, because that would be a ridiculously stacked group there in Group A. If we got that, that's looking closer to a Champions League group than it is a Europa League group. But we will draw the first team. Oh, wow. Wow. Really? All the groups, and we get that one. Darn. Okay, we will just keep, I don't even care who else goes in which group now. That is a terrible draw for us after coming out of the Champions playoff in the Champions League. We could have got any one of those other groups. That is just annoying. And not only that, Midtjylland are the fourth team. That is a absolutely stacked group that won this time around in the Europa League. As I said before, that's looking more like a Champions League group than it is a Europa League group. That is a killer draw for us there. You look at some of those groups down below, pretty kind compared to what we've got. So we have certainly not got the luck of the draw this time around. Apologies for cutting off that draw, but man, that's a harsh one. And we make our way down even further. These are some pretty weak looking groups in comparison to what we've got up there in Group A. So that is pretty frustrating. It's going to be a tough time for us this season in the Europa League. So not only the disappointment of missing out on the Champions League, but we've got a very tough Europa League group, albeit if we can get past Midtjylland in those two games, we could then drop down to the Conference League. And coming out of a group like that, I back ourselves to do pretty well in the Conference League if that is the competition which we do end up in. But that is a ridiculously strong group for the Europa League that we find ourselves in this season, with Atletico Madrid, Lazio, and Midtjylland. We cannot afford any slip-ups, especially in those games against our Nordic rivals from Denmark. But that is a really tough group, not what we were after, and that's going to make things very interesting for the Europa League this season. And that will do it for today's episode. If you did enjoy it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. In terms of when we will be back, it will be for one of these group games in the Europa League. If we make our way over to the schedule, hopefully those games will be in there now. You can see first up, we do have Atletico Madrid at home. That is going to be very tough. That second game against Midtjylland is going to be a big one away from home. If we can get points there, should be in a good position to try and get out of that group in third place and down to the Conference League, which is already looking like the most sensible option. And maybe we can pick up some good coefficients in the knockout stages of that competition. But we'll come back tomorrow for the Europa League, the first group game of that at home against Atletico Madrid. And hopefully around that time, we might also have a Malka Bikram final if we can get past Keflavik like we did in the league game in between the two games in today's episode. So that's what's going to be hopefully coming up tomorrow. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.